Greetings and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring, spawning in the south, it's going to be the British forces of Burmie. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Wehrmacht forces of Smiley Face, who has gone straight on ahead and picks the Ostripan Doctrine. Now, the map today is going to be Falmionville Approach, and there is a little bit of a, I don't know, not kind of backstory, I guess, to this game. I just cast a game of Smiley, which is going to be appearing on the channel, so you may have watched it already. It will be the previous video to this one. Yeah, and he was playing against another British player called JS Cross. Now, spoiler alert, close the video if you don't want to know what happened in that one. Okay, cool. So he totally decimated JS Cross, like one of the fastest victories I've ever seen. It was a brutal onslaught. He dominated the map and crushed the only British position in under 7 minutes. And it was really pretty good. So let's see now. He's leveled up, and he's now playing against a higher ranked opponent, I would say. Burmie is like, I've cast him before. He's a pretty tenacious British player. He knows what he's doing. And as I mentioned in the previous video, the British forces did receive a small buff as of January the 14th. That is that the AEC Scout Car now deals increased damage against infantry and has much better splash. So is it going to be the British Stuart? We're not sure. But I'd like to find out, so I'm hoping that Burmie is going to go for that. Now, wow, Burmie's also chosen his commander very rapidly. He's gone for the Vanguard Operations Regiment. Now, this is my British commander of choice. He's a really good all-rounder, has a load of really spicy options. He's a pretty potent commander, and I do enjoy using him. He's not the only one I use, but if there's no reason for me to pick any other commander, he's the one that I tend to end up with. So, yeah, I'd say a pretty smart choice from Burmie, even though it was not a reactive pick. It was just a kind of, here's what I'm going to play kind of pick, which, you know, is usually suboptimal. Now, I'm just going to crack the tack here for a second and overview the battlefield here. So we can see Axis forces spreading out quite nicely, likewise the UKF, but Axis forces having access to those cheaper, more numerous Ostripan here. And Ostripan, it's safe to say, if they're in cover, which these guys are, really do a number against Tommies. Tommies cost 280 per squad. They're a 4-man squad, and for 200 manpower, I believe, Ostripan are, yep, you get a 6-man squad who in cover out DPSs your Tommies. So it is heinously hard times playing as UKF against this Ostripan commander. No kidding, it's just, this is a strong commander against UKF. Now, it's not unbeatable, and like, you know, many things are strong against other things, and I'm not going to cry OP or say that anything needs a nerf or a buff or anything like that. This isn't a balanced discussion. I'm just saying that the Ostripan Doctrine here is a very potent choice against the United Kingdom forces. Now, Burmie's gone for a pretty rapid platoon command post, so that's online now. Here comes the Royal Engineers, and I imagine that they've been brought on for a purpose, so we may well see a fast mortar pit. And if that's the case, I do fear for Burmie a little bit, seeing as how this is exactly what Smiley played against last game, and he was able to crush it in very short order. Now, I'm going to crack the tack once more. We can overlook the battlefield here, and you can see Smiley here is in a pretty good possession of the battlefield, and here come the Flamer Pioneers, which he used to pretty good effect in that last game. These guys, we'll have to keep an eye on them. Now, interestingly, a lot of his units are just pretty idle. Like, there's this MG team not doing a lot. I mean, it could be garrisoning this building, it could be capping this point from cover even. These Ostripan squads here, ×2 idle. Now, I mean, they're all in good positions, and he is capping with these Pioneers and another squad of Ostripan down here, who awkwardly took some fire from the base MG, but they're okay now. They've become unsuppressed, and they only took light damage. But anyway, so he is being active. And it seems that the points that Smiley here values on the map, right here, because it's on the doorstep of the British base and allows him to see exactly what his opponent is doing in terms of moving out into the middle of the map. Right here, because, I mean, fuel points are important, and with these Ostripan squads here, there's no danger of this MG being flanked anytime soon, so that's actually pretty smart positioning there as well. And yeah, so I guess those are the 2 points which he's elected to maintain static control over. Now, for Burmie, Burmie's clearly decided that his opponent has the Ostripan Doctrine. He's going to have to play this one cautiously, as Smiley elects to build an S-mine field in this location here. That's going to be pretty spicy stuff. No metal detector out yet for Burmie. So he's going to have to be cautious. Although of course he has no way of knowing that. But yeah, he's going to have to be cautious if he's to avoid some losses in that minefield. But yeah, seemingly Burmie acknowledges the fact that he can't really engage profitably against these Ostripan just now. So he's actually just playing back and sitting passively as well. Now, you know, if you look at the resource differential, 32 and 63 fuel and munitions respectively for the Axis player Smiley, over 17 and 16 for the UKF player Burmie, things looking pretty bad for Burmie. However, as we all know, the British forces are one of those armies which gets very much stronger the later the game goes on. So in this case, it seems that Burmie has decided he's happy bleeding a small amount of tickets and being behind in the resources if he just gets to persist in the game and kind of move towards getting to that state in the game where the British forces are very powerful. So he's clearly okay with this right now. He's playing a very passive role. He's decided not to try and trade or risk losing squads and resources by engaging into the Wehrmacht line. Is this the right call? I don't know. I'm going to say it probably is, because I think his odds of engaging successfully into this kind of a force at the moment are pretty slim. So that's fine. But I would say, speaking from, in my experience anyway, it's always best just to poke here and there, make your opponent reposition their forces, try and look for a mistake, try and find a little crack in their lines, try and sneak a squad round in the fog of war right up against the edge of the map. Just do something. I always like to be proactive in some way. I always like to have some form of aggression, some form of attack going on. In any RTS I play, I actually feel a little bit scared, like quite vulnerable if I'm not on the offense, at least somehow, somewhere on the map. So anyway, that's just a personal point of view. Burmie clearly is happier sitting back, and that's fair enough, and I respect his decision making on that. He's probably a better player than I am. So we'll have to see how it pans out for him. Now we've got a fight beginning to be taken. Tommy's in heavy cover at the back. Royal Engineers screening them. So with the rate of fire bonus, these Tommies are going to be able to get some work done here. And the Royal Engineers, they could actually be in light cover and still capping this point. So a little bit of a positioning error there from Burmie. There was also a scuffle here on the right flank. Squad of Pioneers with Flamer going to be forced back by, I believe, a Maxim. The Maxim here is also going to catch these Strippen in their arc. Now, there's a very early 6-pounder here, so I guess Burmie was fearful of a 222 coming out. And that's a reasonable thing to fear. Typically when you see Wehrmacht players go for this Ostrippen commander opening very quickly, they tend to skip the infantry company, go straight into the Leichte Mechanized company, and that gives them faster than typical access to Panzer Grenadiers, the 222, and of course the Pat gun, but it's the Panzer Grenadiers and the 222 that you've really got to be afraid of. So Burmie here, respecting that, he's going to go for a preliminary, a very precautionary 6-pounder. Now, the 6-pounder is not a cheap AT gun, and I kind of think that, I don't know, I kind of think that this would have been better off being another mortar pit or something like that. Just because I think this is a big investment to have sitting around doing not a lot. My God, he's going for another one. He's... I kind of suspect my analysis then was wrong, because going for 2 seems awfully strong. I'm not quite sure why he's going for 2. This is one of those times I'd really like to ask the player. If any of you guys have any ideas out there, please do post in the comments below. Coming up to the 8-minute mark, why has Burmie gone for 2 6-pounders? Because this is far too early for any Panzer IV or anything like that. He says that actually the support armor core is down, but we're still minutes away from a Panzer IV, so I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, more Ostrippen going to be coming on out to the field. A couple of Grenadier squads being thrown into the mix now. The infantry company has been retrospectively constructed here. I've got a bit of retro Tekken going on here for the Wehrmacht player. Pardon me. Whoa, good mines here from the British player. Going to take out a lot of Ostrippen there. 5 men dying to that blast. Only 1 going to be surviving here to cap the point. So that's pretty harsh times. There is a mortar pit, of course, constructed by the British player. Burmie's going to have chosen this point here, and I like this positioning. Increasingly, I'm learning with the British forces, you've got to be more defensive when you build your mortar positions. I always try to build them really far forwards because I'm kind of used to using light guns from the Overcommand West forces, and I'm always creeping them forwards to try and get the maximum possible range and barrages onto my opponent and take the most land. But a mortar pit's a very different proposition. It's actually it actually represents an assaultable opportunity for your opponent, so you have to place them defensively, and Burmie here demonstrating that. Now we've got a big fight being taken here. Rifle grenade comes down onto the Vickers. That's going to get some good damage done. We've got Royal Engineers up in the face of these Grenadiers. They're going to force them back. These Tommies going to be losing a fight against Pioneers with a Flamer, but this Pioneer squad on 1 man, yeah, they're going to have to fall back. So it looks like Burmie's going to hold here pretty handily, forcing a couple of Axis squads back. MG42 though getting deployed in a pretty nice position, and that is actually, it's just going to redeploy straight away because it's unsupported and in negative cover, but I can see why Smiley decided to pop that MG42 there for a second. It stood to catch some squads in a nice position. Now, down in the south of the map, we've got some Royal Engineers getting some capping done, so they will be chewing up ground, and if I crack the tack, you can see no Vermac squads for quite a radius around them, so it's unlikely they're going to be pushed back before they complete the cap on this, and they may even be able to snag a fuel point or a victory point, depending on what Burmie decides to prioritise there. More Royal Engineers coming out. It's not often I see British players, well, in my experience anyway, I'm sure it's fairly typical though, it's not often I see British players go for this many Royal Engineers. 2 squads at this timing, yeah, it's pretty early for 2 squads, but, you know, they're good squads, they're decent combatants, and of course they do benefit from the 5-man squad upgrade, so they only stand to get better as time goes by. Mortars hooning on this MG, which is in turn hooning on these engineers. We've got another fight being taken down in south. A couple of squads of Axis forces here, Grenadiers with LMG-42, especially Pokey, going to be chewing into these Royal Engineers, and that is going to force them back before they manage to snag either the command point or the fuel point. So Smiley here defending nicely and pinning his opponent back. If you look at the mini-map, you can see the British player is being constrained across the map. He can't push through mid, he's just been forced back from south. The rifle grenade comes down here, but a good dodge from Burmie here. Good awareness there. And now his mortar pit stands to be assaulted as the Axis forces closing in from every direction. And again, Wehrmacht against UKF has always been a tricky matchup in this early game, in this early and early mid game, I should say, for the British player. And Smiley Face here just showing how to exploit that to the max. Look at the map. Look at the resource differential. This is really hard times for Burmie. He is basically now being sieged in his base. And I don't think he's necessarily played very badly. He hasn't dropped any squads, and I don't think he's even taken any bad fights. He's just taken the fights he's had to take. Rifle grenade comes down onto this Vickers, causing a 4-man squad wipe. That's terribly unfortunate for the British player. These Ostropin are going to grab the Vickers. Wow, and things going from bad to worse here for the UKF player. Boom, though, a counter squad wipe. The 3-inch mortars striking one home for King and Country. Nicely done there. And an LMG-42 gonna be the steal. So kind of exchanging a Vickers gun crew and squad for an MG-42 and Grenadier squad there. Burmie able to get a nice pickup, and using the rate of fire increase, which Tommies do get in heavy cover, an LMG-42 on a Tommy squad is spicy. I'm talking like, that's Jalfrezi right there, you know, it's pretty cool. Now we do have an Ostwind. An Ostwind is going to be the early fuel spending choice. Wow, did not see this coming, but there are 2 6-pounders on the field for Burmie, so they've been waiting for minutes and minutes to be useful, and now they might get a chance. I still don't think that was an efficient spending of manpower that early, but wow, these Royal Engineers stand to get squad wiped. The Ostropin kind of here, just angling for a shot. These Tommy squads here are going to have to fall back before the Ostwind. It's just too much for them, and of course, those Tommies don't have any kind of anti-vehicle option. So that's just going to be a fallback right there. And there is a squad garrisoning the south, but actually if Burmie was feeling spicy, he could actually push out in the south. A couple of squads would be able to displace that Axis unit down there, and he'd be able to make some ground up. Now, the score differential as well is pretty fierce. 491 for the Axis player Smiley, 303 for Burmie, now 300, so 191 ticket lead at the 12, coming up to 13-minute mark. It's pretty intense. Burmie here definitely on the back foot. The question is he going to be able to hold until the point where the British forces have the advantage and then make something of this game? Time will tell, but it's looking pretty bleak right now. I'd say right now things are looking okay for Smiley. The mortar pit, though, is doing good damage, getting another couple of kills there, just chalking down these Ostropin. And there's an MG-42 in a building here, which if Burmie has the awareness, he can put down a barrage on, but an MG-42 getting set up in a great position at the back here. LMG-42 Grenadiers with Flamer Pioneers and Ostropin as a sort of a spearhead here, coming through. Massive amounts of British forces being suppressed and squad wipes, and I think that's it. I don't think you can sustain that kind of damage as British forces and survive. He also loses a 6-pounder, which has been stolen. That is harsh. Look at the top left. Look at the top right. What can Burmie do? And he is gone. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, what can I say? United Kingdom forces right now pretty low on the win rates. Pretty low on the amount of players who are using them in high-level play and indeed tournaments. If you look at the ESL and things like that, barely anybody coming in as UKF. And it's not that they're a bad faction; it's just that they're very risky. If you get a bad start like this, and I have to say, for the first 10 minutes, this wasn't really a bad start. And then Burmie just took like 2 fights, which didn't even look super bad, but were. That's it. And if you lose any squads like before the 10-minute mark, things are looking super bleak when you play as the Brits. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make any comments about balance or anything like that. But I, I don't know. It doesn't look good for Brits at the moment. I do think they need some changes, and I don't think changing the AEC is going to be enough. It's definitely a help. It's definitely a help. But I think what needs to be looked at for the Brits are their core units, things like Royal Engineers, Tommies, and Mortar Pits. A change there would, I think, be healthy. So, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents, and it's not really for me to say. And to be honest, I haven't really seen enough games from Brits recently, which is probably an indicator in itself, but I haven't seen enough games from Brits recently to really feel confident in this opinion, so I wouldn't put too much stock in what I just said, but that's just my thoughts at the moment anyway. I guess that brings this battle to a conclusion. Another fast one there. Smiley just chewing up another British player. That brings this battle to a conclusion. Of course, I'll be bringing you more battles and some live look-ins very soon. There'll also be some opportunities, I hope, for some Twitch-based broadcasts and some more exciting stuff coming forward. So if you want to be kept abreast of those developments, do check into the YouTube channel. I will be announcing them on there. And of course, you can now follow me on Twitter at MagpieCaster, and I'll be posting any developments there as and when they become concrete. So for now, this is Magpie842 signing out.